Rita.
Welcome! Today is National what?
International Day of Peace.
So namaste. Alright, this is Medicine Woman Reveal. I'm Brenda Bates, Medicine Woman.
I'm Jen Toffel, Medicine Woman.
And we're glad to have you here today. What we're going to talk about is many things. If any of you like a reading, you just go ahead and you ask away by calling in. What's our phone number, Jen?
I believe it's 989-945-0287.
Excellent. So, if you're in the chat room, or if you even just want to write us a letter so that it can be aired at some time, you can go to
our website.
Oh, well, they can go there, or they can go to the email, mwr@myself.com. And the website, then, if you wanted to do other kind of contacts, or just,
find out more about us.
Yeah, it is what?
www.mwreveal.com.
That is right. We're adding new stuff. We've been figuring out we have a lot more healing tools that we have to...
We got a list to do.
A lot. We sat down and I says, we really have to hammer out all the stuff I know how to do, all the stuff you know how to do, and let's get it out there.
Bring it together. So, project.
Brainstorming is always great, and the best thing about brainstorming is when you start to take, and you have to get the gunk out of the way, so stuff will tumble out of your mouth that if you were going to be very cynical to your own self and denigrating your own self, it may sound stupid, idiotic,
or a good show.
And usually you have to spew out all of that stuff that's in the way so that you can get to the other part of your thinking. And so I have learned to integrate and put brainstorming into my space a long time ago. And eventually whatever needs to be used will be used, and what isn't, what isn't. But it doesn't mean it's written in stone. What do I mean by that, Jen?
All the ideas just kind of get thrown. There's no attachment to any of the ideas, and it's just how many different ideas, and then it's kind of like throwing all this paint on a canvas, and then you just start kind of playing around with it, and eventually a picture starts to be formed.
Yeah, and see, when what was the word I used? It's a test for you.
You've used many words.
That's funny. A few minutes ago I just said it's not written in stone, for the simple fact is that when you're having a conversation with some people and their mind is somewhere else, sometimes, you know, you're talking, well, how about if we do this? One of the things that will happen is, nah, can't do that. It's like, yeah, that, or oh, I can't see that possible, or something will come up to the point is that I don't want to do that. It's not written in stone. And it's funny because we'll have to do that later. A lot of times people that I've run across, it's just that they don't want to do it right then. And it's like, it doesn't mean that it has to be right then. It just means that we're getting the universe to manifest with us. If anything sounds like it's good, you'll know immediately, because it'll be the feeling that moves you. You'll be motivated, just like when you have to go to the bathroom, or you're hungry, or you want to watch TV, or you need a nap.
And all of a sudden it's like, oh my gosh, I'm so glad you thought of that.
Mm-hmm.
Oh my gosh, that makes sense. Or maybe that idea was percolating, and then all of a sudden somebody else says something, it's like, oh, okay, yeah, maybe. So it's just bringing things to light.
Right, but a lot of people are afraid that it's written in stone once it's said. And it's not. With this law of manifesting, every thought you think, you create chemical peptides. That is correct. That is to feel around, use your sensory system to see if it works or it doesn't work. If you believe it's not going to work, then so be it. That's what you're going to get. If you believe it's going to work, then so be it. That's what you're going to get. So you have to understand, whether right or wrong, you're still going to manifest it. The law of attraction works based on the fact that you are the creator. We are forgotten gods. We were given a job to do, as we have a soul. So first of all, we are made of that image of God, that spirit, our true form. And it's remembering that everything is okay. When we start to travel and do what we do with our spirits, each of us get our soul recorders, which means that we get to decide what and where, how we're going to do it. What if we do this? What if we do this? Oh crap, we shouldn't have done that. Okay, now how do we get out of that? Well, what do we do this? What do we do this? So it's so important to understand that nothing was by accident. It was thought up. It was agreed upon. Now, group consciousness coming together to be agreed upon what's leaving this time period is what's called the pimp in the hole. You've heard me talk about it several times, but it's archetypes. And these archetypes are templates of the behaviors, personality, what we can be. We're in and out. Where is our conscious state? What are we doing individually as well as a whole? And when we're in our purest form, yes, we can compare, we can see sides, but we're not choosing one or the other. There is always a third option. And most people want to argue. You're either with me or against me. And it's like, why does it have to be either or? I kind of was born in this world that there was always a third option. Somebody was arguing with me about, well, my aunt should be sending me birthday cards. She don't, and there's always this animosity and anger. And I'm sitting there thinking to myself, no, an aunt doesn't have to. Now, if you put an age on it, I can see that, because I was a little girl when I became an aunt. And so I said, well, what am I supposed to do? Am I supposed to go out and get a job and put in money in the card? Yeah, spend my allowance and put it in a card and give it to my nephews and nieces because that's what an aunt's supposed to do. And they never quite thought of that angle before. And that's another thing. We are here to look at all of the different perceptions because it's meant to. It's meant to be seen in different perceptions. And the different perception is very important because this is what makes us a kaleidoscope of people. And, some people get so, like I said, rigged on that there can only be one way. How many different doctors are in this world? I know I wouldn't go to some doctors because I would clash with them. But some other doctors, I would just mess with them. You find out who you are supposed to be with. They can help you on your journey wherever you need to go. So it's important to understand that perception and different options are there. And it's great. But maybe if you listen to your language, you may find out where you may feel like you have to choose either or that there can only be one way to look at it. So it's so important to understand that there is that third option. And and the only way to get to that third option is to brainstorm. Now, brainstorming is just like I said, taking and throwing out all these ideas. And most of the time when I was growing up, the energy in my environment was, don't say anything unless it's the right answer. Well, first of all, how do you get to the right answer?
Right, all of a sudden it's like instant, okay, make sure it's the right answer. It's like, whoa, that's a lot of pressure.
And there's some people that thrive off it. They always have to be right. Mm-hmm. And when you throw in another idea out there, then it disrupts what the person thought they were right because it makes them think. And then it becomes, oh, well, I knew that, I know that, is a way to shut up, don't talk anymore, I don't want to hear it anymore. And people don't want to participate because everybody's so afraid of the outcome. One of the things as medicine women we've been studying is how to unlearn what we learned. And go ahead.
Well, I was going to say, I've gotten back into my blogging on my personal website. So last week I was writing about politics and talking about that third option that, depending on, whether you want to be partisan or not, I know a lot of people are all wrapped up into that and all the issues and ideas and that kind of thing. But it was really, the third option is to take a look at, okay, with all this slinging that people are complaining about, if that's group consciousness, guess what? We are a part of that group. And so then it was like looking at, well, when have I ever wanted to throw somebody under the bus? When have I ever in your life, not yesterday or, the day before, but ever in your life, those emotions and feelings and incidents are they become part of the collective till you get this whole group idea going. So it was like looking at, oh, well, what is my part in this picture?
Exactly. And to unlearn is to think that you don't, something has to be a certain way or you don't have something. And as I've been looking at the big group conscious picture, it came out to be the right. What's the right way? Who has my rights? Where is my rights? I have no rights. And what would be rights? It is, so how would we want to define that?
Because I was looking at rights, whether I have the right to be, whether I have the right to be me, whether I have the right to express my, have my voice in this situation, and so those kinds of rights.
Mm-hmm. Yes, exactly.
And you feel like you're born with them. I'm supposed to have those rights.
Mm-hmm. And so we're going through claiming back what is lost or was taken. You actually feel a piece of you that's missing, and it's usually that moment that threw you off your happy center, and in place of it becomes this, I don't know what to do with it, which falls under the category of fear, and it's marked. So, as I was growing up, one of the things that I learned is that I had my little manual for living, that I have to do things the right way, not the wrong way. So I'd look at my mother getting mad at my sister. I looked at my sister and thought, okay, that's not right, don't do that. And then I'd look over here and say, oh, my mother's happy. Okay, you can do that. So again, my book was of rules was very sporadic and didn't make sense. 1 minute you're supposed to do it and 1 minute you're not supposed to do it. And so I always feel that my rights were taken away. And I thought, why do I feel that? Therefore, I must have known I had rights. Mm-hmm. To know that something is lost. And I don't just have to agree with everybody. Oh yeah, the banks have taken our rights away, the politicians and all that. Okay, that's all blaming. In the soul factor, you have the cause and effect. You are the cause and effect of your world. And so, okay, all right, how would I cause this? And you don't want to strain yourself, you just want the spirit to show you. So as I started to fine-tune, show me what do I mean, and it's usually this about belief system, and it's a decision that you created, usually as a kid. Anytime in the womb, up to the age of 7, it's just a major decision, okay? We've learned it, we run to the end of our timeline, say, see, it's going to happen this way. Now, that's good that you are a great predictor. It's good to know that you know and see the patterns, but when you get caught up in not knowing how you know it, then all of a sudden you start to make the law of attraction constantly stare you in the face and say, okay, how do you want it today? There's no what if, you're saying that is. Okay, my husband always is mean to me, okay? So then you have to see that every day. You have to put this wall up, you have to project the same amount of frequency codes, you have to do that. So even if the husband was trying to be nice, you're not going to see it because you're like, yeah, whatever. Where's the mean person so I can get my proof? So I can say, see, I told you so. And it may sound obvious, but it may not sound obvious. But pay attention to what you're doing. You are a human being and your spirit first. You are reading codes constantly, all the time. The moment you turn the light on in this human form, before you activate the gray matter, you have to decide, reading the code. Oh, I'm in the body. Okay, what's the next step? Now the spirit then turns on, and the consciousness, then the gray matter kicks in, and then all of those files, certain archetype meta programs, certain behaviors that kicks in, and then your values and your beliefs and your limited decisions. And most of the time we have to heal each one of those because we have come to this point of no return. There's no left or right. It's this way. It's always be this way. What we heal last night is it was very limited.
For me it was about sarcasm.
Oh yeah, that's right.
And sarcasm is not just the gulf between somebody who says something witty and the person who doesn't get it. Ha ha ha. That's a witty definition. Well, I knew there was going to be sarcasm in my household, and it's like I had to learn how to do that in order to survive, to keep up. You gotta be with it. Come on, there's no there were no slowpokes in our household. It was, you better be quick-witted, you better, come up with a response. There's a one-liner for every single thing, and if you do something wrong, guess what? Oh, ha ha. And it was that sarcastic tone, so I knew that there was going to be sarcasm, and it just became used as a weapon.
And how old were you when we decided, your soul told us?
1 year.
So at 1 year old, she knew that she had to survive in that thing. So weapon was sarcasm. And so last night, as she was healing, using healing tools, it was interesting, you know, check me, she put her arm out. Oh, yeah, okay, there's no sarcasm there. And so everything was good until all of a sudden, I'm now all of a sudden mimicking whatever I need to do so she can get into the space. Oh, that's sarcasm. Oh, that's sarcasm.
Is that sarcasm?
You know,
Is
it
that
reminds me of
sarcasm?
Sheldon.
From The Big Bang Theory.
And I'm like, okay, Jen, apparently we have to notice when it pops up and decide, do we need to really go into it? Now, there's nothing wrong with sarcasm to the point where you're laughing and joking, but when it becomes a tool of weaponry, where it becomes so natural you don't even know you're doing it. Now, on a synchronistic level, Jen knows exactly what I'm talking about. This isn't calling her out. This isn't trying to put the blame on her. This isn't trying to hurt her. When you start to understand the law of attraction, the cause and effect, and who you are as a human, okay, you're a spiritual human. We were cooking in the kitchen, and Spirit had, I told the story somewhere, and Spirit had Scott to make, he's going to make meatloaf or sloppy joes. You know,
Sloppy joes,
he was
yeah.
going to make sloppy joes, but it was acting like it was meatloaf, where you put everything together.
Mm-hmm.
And she's used to the old pattern where you're supposed to make a joke about it.
Oh, look what you did.
You know, but then in the middle of it, you kind of stopped, because I also then turned around and I go, oh my gosh, it's like putting peanut butter and the chocolate and the peanut butter. Ooh, let's see what we get. So there's always this other way to respond, and then she started going into, yeah, let's find out. It turned out to be the best way to cook it, in that we would have never found out how the consistency of meat works if we did not experiment. So, you know, it is, why do we do these things? My husband was joking around, and I looked at him and I says, you know, I know this is supposed to be funny, but at this point, I don't like it. So as soon as he starts doing the joking sarcasm, he'll look at me and goes, it's a joke! You know? Okay. Because I don't know, because to me it don't look like a joke, because the energy still looks the same. It looks like it is meant to denigrate, to hurt, to make fun of, and make the butt end of the joke. So, again, it is unlearning things. Wonderful day today, and we're asking for help. Just like any other station and other group, other things. We would like you, that if you love this station so much, if you could donate, there's actually a donate button on sepianc.com. And if you'd like to see the station the doors remain open, please donate. The more the merrier, because it's amazing to find out the bills that it takes to put stuff like this on, just to entertain. So we would love for you to show your support. So please donate. Like
Yes.
I said, go to Sepia, or www.sepia, so it's SEPIANC.com. And thank you for your support. Okay. When you're talking about, what were we talking about? Unlearning what we've learned. You know, I read how people give advice that just grow up and get over it already, or
Put on your big girl pants and go out in the world and suck it up. Why are you complaining? Everybody has to deal with this every single day. You see it on Facebook through the news feed constantly about, I put on my big girl pants and big boy pants and I face the world every day.
It's good to see what you're made of, but here's the problem. That's why there has been what the soul coaches, what we're doing, is helping you achieve more than just an average day in the life of a person. When you have your caudate nucleus, which is that part of the brain that governs fear, so full of crap, then you're going to produce the same stories, because you're going to keep emanating it, constantly putting out that frequency that life's got to be this way.
It's like your personal radio station. We don't realize that we have all this energy and frequency that we are putting out into the world. So we're our own little radio stations putting out all this stuff, and and other people with their antenna up say, "Oh, that's a like person. Let's get to let's kind of get together," and that kind of thing. But yeah, you're putting that out into the world.
I was watching The Big Bang Theory, and Sheldon, saw myself familiar with Sheldon. Sheldon was sitting there listening to everybody fight, and he just was losing it because he doesn't have the filters to cope with all of that fighting. And, Leonard was telling him to grow up already, get beyond it. And it was, excuse me, when you're in that space, it's pain. It's like somebody hitting you with a car. It hurts. You can't make it stop. And you just literally start to vibrate to the point where you just want to run and explode. But there's not much you can do. But as soon as you go to run, then you got people saying, "What are you running away from? You know, what are you doing? That's such a baby." I mean, there's always this insult to the injury. There's so much that was unknown, but yet people are just so mean. And that literally needs to change. It needs to change within. And so that person that's going through the issue, I would say heal how it's painful. You know, use a tool. And the person that is complaining, really watch out, because karma's going to come and bite you in the ass, because literally your turn will be up where you're going to be bitch slammed against the wall. But we have been always taught that, you know, we're supposed to be sarcastic, we're supposed to act this way, we're supposed to do this. And Sheldon is constantly always talking about having to learn about what is sarcasm so he can learn how to communicate with human beings.
Right, the nuances of humanity.
Because for him, he's mental, he's smart, he's like, okay, I have to learn how to get along with people. You know what? I don't want to. But he's learned that, okay, that's a joke. You know, he always says, bazinga. His jokes are not funny. Because he says, you guys never see it coming. Bazinga. And you're like,
That wasn't even
that
a
was
joke.
no joke. But you know, he's doing his best to learn these behaviors so that he can fit into society. But everybody can't stand him because he has to be taken care of, pampered, and everybody's got to live his way and live his life. Now that drives me crazy right there. But at the same time, it's learning to unlearn really about what drives your stress level. I'm going to be doing a show soon in December, and it is a telesummit. This is very exciting. I had been working on my rights. And I realized that people felt threatened by me, so I had healed that out. And then all of a sudden it was, out of the blue, this lady calls me up and says, hey, you'd be perfect for this telesummit. And it's 12 people on a panel. Well, I should say that's not true. There's 12 people. I'm going to be the closer of this telesummit, and I'm not sure exactly what day it is in December. But she told me I have free reign. I can talk for an hour or an hour and a half or two, you know, however long it needs to be. And what was cool about this is this woman had been learning from one of the best, and I can't remember his name right now. And so then she went and launched it from no people to having at least over 750 people immediately to be there that wants her. And so then she's decided to launch another one. This is a big step because, you know, I have been praying that my success can go farther than what it is. And no, I'm not running from A to Z. I am doing the steps in between. I have to develop and prepare and to be, because by doing these video shows that along with the radio show has made it so easy, because who cares that the camera's on? You know, you don't even think about it. You learn to act a certain way, behave a certain way, and I've done so many readings under my belt that it becomes such a second nature. I don't have that learning curve so much. So when I go into this arena, it'll be just like any other show. I've done a lot of interviews where I'm the guest, and so you just wait for people to lob the question, do what you need to do. So where am I going with this? It is the opportunities that you would think is never going to be there is finally showing up. It is allowing yourself to be open. And the biggest problem that I had growing up was that I had to make a big decision that I have to heal the fact that I'm not open. I was scared completely as a kid, a fear instilled in me, and I watched people that were younger than me constantly bossing me around. And I thought, what gives you the right to sit there and just boss me around? What if I don't want to comb my hair? What if I want to dye it purple? I might do that, by the way. Somebody gave me some purple dye, so I might just do that just because I can. And I have the right to do whatever I want. And I used to be so controlled by how I did not like that energy of how people acted, and I could feel their hate and resentment constantly hitting me, that it caused my body to be physically sick. Because you understand, like for instance, if Jen is sitting here generating that she's got her thoughts in her head, that she resents me for something, my body will just pick it up. I don't have to consciously think about it. My body will pick it up. And for me, it stores right into my lungs. And so if I start having lung issues, it's like, I don't want to take that in. I do not want to take that in. I don't care how much that they're sitting there, I'm not going to take that in. So without consciously knowing it, there's a whole other program that runs the body. The, let's see, the LIPASE enzyme, lipase enzyme, is the enzyme that is to cut fats, that is to break down the fats. And that is actually a junk DNA inside me. It comes from my father's side. DNA represents the father's side, RNA represents the mother's side, and I have, how do I know this? Okay, I have also charts that I muscle test and I pendulum, but I also have over 10,000 homeopathic vials, and they range from looking at the organs and the breakdown of the organs, what makes the organ function, and then the nutrition, parasites, and metals, and all kinds of things. So I can make an actual homeopathic, but mine are soulpathic, because your DNA is affected by your emotional health. So I allow myself to have this opportunity to have a lifetime of creating a place that I can access. I mean, I got a lot of tools of the trade to help me physically, mentally, emotionally help myself heal. Mm-hmm. So anyways, I totally forgot the lungs. I didn't want to take that in. I made that decision, I don't want to take that in. Well, as you get older, I don't know what the heck I don't want to take in. I just know no matter what, opportunities pass me by. What I've learned, the reason that the opportunities pass me by and I'm overlooked, is because the caudate nucleus, that part that governs fear in your brain, is in charge of whether or not you receive your opportunity. When opportunities are in your face, it goes through the gray matter, and it has to go through the caudate nucleus to get into the midbrain, minus your personality, because that's your subconscious mind is in the midbrain. All healing and changes take place in the midbrain, or in the subconscious mind. And if you can't get those ideas or anything across, then there is a part of you that has a program that says, I can't. I'm not allowed to. You stop it at the door. It's your comfort zone. You know, you literally can't. And so my question is, okay, so why is it? I know that I'm constantly walking around ready as can be, but what is in me that says I can't? And, well, I had to heal, a week ago, it was or 2 weeks ago, it was about, I hate this, I hate that, without realizing it, that is about the heart. And your heart meridian is so important, because if your heart's not into it, and all you're drawing to yourself is the things you don't like, that must mean somewhere you know that you had love, but now it's lost, so you want to reclaim it. And we're always trying to reclaim it. It hadn't really gone anywhere, it's just that there's a filter or a block in the way.
Right, and if your heart isn't into it, then that's when you start feeling like you have to force yourself to do something, and it just takes a lot more effort to do anything. But then once healing about, oh, is your heart into it, then all of a sudden it becomes more effortless.
And when your heart is not into it, this is where the physical body starts to divide itself up, because you have the younger part of yourself that says no, or a decision, and it worked for it then, it became a limited decision, and now you're as an adult, and you say yes or something, you're butting heads within your own self, and you're constantly at odds inside yourself. But you won't know it unless you really pay attention. Like, I can tell when somebody's doing it because their energies are split, or the energy, but a lot of it is just in the words. I teach people to pay attention to how things are said and done. And most of the time, if you have an intensity that's hooked to it, that usually would tell me right off the bat that you're losing power. You know, when, like yesterday when we were working on healing the rights, you know, she worked heavily on healing her rights. We're excited to see what good things will come out of it. But as she was sitting there, I says, okay, now that you don't feel like somebody's taking your rights away, now we have to build up the right to be yourself. Because when we were muscle testing, I have the right to be me, she didn't even get a number. She can consciously say, yes, I am, I can be me. But her soul says, no, you don't even register. When you're doing a positive thing, you want it from 0 to 10. You want it to register.
Right, so then there's the meridian tapping that we do to remove the negative. Then you can do the meridian tapping to tap in the positive and start building that up. That, dang it, so then you wonder why you're kind of like I'm invisible on the planet. People will say, ha ha, yeah, right, like Jen Toffel's invisible. But there are opportunities that haven't come in my way because it's like that frequency isn't even registering on the planet, that vibration.
Right, because right now all your brain can do is emanate from the caudate nucleus to say, ah, and then you want to avoid the ah, and so then what happens is that you'll watch opportunities pass by, everybody else gets them, or it looks like you're going to get it, and then it disappears. I easily could have said in the past, when that lady says, oh, we would like you to be part of this telesummit. This is a big, big deal. This is where you get to see a lot of people come out of the woodwork that has great and many talents. And it's like being launched. I easily could have said no. The old me definitely would have said no because I would have been more timid and scared. But this time I didn't even hesitate because I had already prepared myself on the inside of me. And I didn't have to prepare myself the old way where you have to give yourself a pep talk and you have to, what else do you have to do the old way?
It's just that forcing, like, oh my gosh, like I hated going to school. But it's like I had to do it. The alarm clock would go off. It's like, oh, March, get ready. Okay, March, do this. And it's just that effort that it just feels like you're pushing the rock up the hill every day. But you have to do it. It's got to get done. Somebody's got to do it, But it just feels like there's just all that effort to do anything.
Yeah, and the effort, and when you're doing that, you really are going against that part of yourself that says, we can't, because I have great experience of why we shouldn't do it. And like I said before, I would have come up with an excuse or a rational reasoning. And it's not that I'm against having them. They exist, they're there, but here is what it boils down to. Do you want to do that to yourself? Do you want that to be emanated? Do you want to have to be controlled by that particular piece? Because when you are sitting there and you have those fears pop up, then out comes out of your mouth immediately are those excuses. Okay? Like, I don't like being outside. It's cold and now outside, and we have to go up to the carriage days, and because Ovid's having their festival this weekend, and I'm part of the Ovid Historical Society. So we have to go up there, and thank God we're not hanging outside. We get to hang inside of a building, but it's still, I just don't like it, and so there's this dread or this longing to do something else. And those things can interfere with why you decided to do the program. So I need to go in and really face how I don't like it. And yet I'm pushing myself in a position where I am into it. I went and started doing this with my husband because that's a part of his life. So if I really want to be a part of my husband's life, it's not about compromising. It's about healing the hells that say I don't want to do it. Now, I'm not dragging my feet on it. I'm not creating those excuses, because it's easily you can make an excuse. What happens is that you and your subconscious mind and the excuse, let's say I didn't want to take Jen somewhere, so I gave her an excuse to make her not want to come. Okay, but what if she's still not listening and going to be one of those people that go, oh, okay, no problem, I'll be there, and totally miss the point of what you're saying? My physical body then will start to manifest something that will cause me to make that excuse that didn't stick to now stick. So my body then pays the price of why this is happening. And if it's not going to happen to me physically, then I'm going to create some physical outside disturbance to create that moment.
This program and all the other programs that are on this wonderful station, you can offer your support by going to the Sepia website, which is www.sepianc.com, sepianc.com, and at the top of the page on the right hand side there are a couple options to donate to this station.
Exactly.
And we love your support.
And who knows what kind of fundraisers we'd like to do to help keep this show on, or not show, station up and running. So there's a lot of things we can do. One of the things I was thinking of is that because they do ghost, or they do ghost hunting and stuff like this, is that, hey, would you ever like to go on to maybe a ghost hunting trip? So there would be, because you would be newbies and that you wouldn't have to join a group. I think you could probably end up taking, they'd have to buy a ticket. You could go for the inn for the one day and just have a great day learning about ghost hunting. Or we could do online classes about it, or we could do online classes about certain things. However, if you have an idea of how that you would like to help us brainstorm to help to keep the station going, then please write us, let us know. We'd love to pass it on. So, what are we going to do? What were we talking about? This is always the part, because what's inside our head is called glial cells, and it's G-L-I-A-L. And one of the things that it does is they're called like vacuum cleaners, and one of their jobs is to sweep up things that didn't stick in your frontal lobe. So it's part of what they call forgetting. So what were we talking about? Heck if I remember. And I was going to write it down this time, but then who knows? Seriously. We have so many different things at hand here. And if we were to look at how we are as a human being, we have to decide what is right for us. Is our heart in alignment? Do we have the self-esteem? This is part of what our soul's purpose is to get into the alignment of remembering who we are. If we are in the self-esteem of, yeah, I can do it, what's going to happen is you're going to be breaking some of those rules, and you're going to be changing the consciousness that says that that hierarchy, and into what was the system I was telling you besides the hierarchy? We want to move into where you are working in harmony, where where are you, Jen? Hello.
I'm on the planet, I promise.
Okay, the ecosystem, how everything works together.
Right. And it's all, the goal is homeostasis, just keeping things kind of like at an even keel, and where the ecosystem does that naturally. Mm-hmm. Everything knows what to do all the way down to the cellular level, all the way up to macro. Mm-hmm.
I think it's Carolyn Mace that says that she believes that we're not born with self-esteem. Now, if we're born with being in balance and happy and excited, that's great. And the moment that hell creeps its little head in, or I should say fear of any sort from any negativity creeps it in and knocks you off your center, then you have to learn to find the self-esteem, because it was never lost or taken. It's just that it's finding your way, that you have to believe what just happened. It has to throw you off. Now, do you believe it? This is the thing. Yes, damn it, it happened. Okay, great. Yes, and it happened again. Okay, great.
You're proving it to yourself that you know that this is going to happen.
Yeah, and watch, I'll just get more proof and then I'll prove it to you again.
Look, there it is.
But here's the thing. There's no self-esteem in that. There is proof, and your will, the volition to move forward, now has to do something. Which means, we came here to use our free will. Most of the thing that we've done now with our free will has put it into fight, flight, freeze. It's stuck. And we've lost our will to desire to do things. Our root chakra is about being on this planet and being able to survive. We lost even the will to be able to survive sometimes because it scares the shit out of us. Well, that's where you then, if that's a belief system, then you'll be thrown in chaos so that you can recover or let go. You got to decide. So what are you really doing with your free will? You know, we chose to take that separation state between our higher self and who we are, and what happens is we become this ego. But I tell you that when you look at ego, ego is just a lens, an electromagnetic guiding omni-apparition. Oh, by the way, I have to say, this is just so cute. They don't like to be called ghost. And the politically correct way to say it would be... Wait for it. Ah! Wait for it! Ready? 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 Go ahead, Jen.
Apparition
American. An apparition American. And that's funny because it literally just makes me laugh just to think about it. We saw it on Castle. Trying to remember how to spell apparition is hilarious. Electromagnetic, Jen. She's typing out what ego stands for. But when we over-identify past that threshold of electromagnetic and we identify our self is this, then we happen to forget who we truly are. And then we become our emotional body and our mental body. And we have not really been in a space other than, this is who it is, this is what it is, oh my God, I got proof. And then the more emotions you put into it shows you something very specific. It shows you that that is what you're identifying with, that is your familiarity, that is who you are. And I walk around and I hear people that says, of course I am that, you know, and they talk about their wounds and they lead with their wounds. The problem is they say they want to get better, but if that's the case, you have to be willing to give up your story. You have to be, and a lot of people can't. Well, that's fine, but now we also know you can, because they're healing tools that disrupts this and allows you to take care of it once and for all. For instance, go ahead.
Well, I was going to say, well, who would you be without that story? Who would you,
Much happier.
what would your identity be? A lot of people don't know because they've spent this whole time on the planet creating that comfort zone, carving out that identity, and what, you're going to take that away from me?
Exactly.
And it's fearful, because then how am I supposed to survive?
And that's the thing, that what happens when you get thrown off your happiness and you become that identity, the self-talk increases. And you can't stop thinking about it. It becomes very obsessive because you know that it's not resolved. And then when you become too human is when you all of a sudden separate yourself further, and it's their fault. And you have to, if you can't do it alone, then you got to go get some minions to help you. And then if you really can't do it, then you got to get people to stand up for you. And it gets so damn tiring.
Right, you got to create an army, because yeah, it is tiring. And God, I don't want to face that person. Oh, will you help me do it? Will you do it for me?
Because they don't even want to do it. Yes.
Right, because it's just so exhausting. Like, God, I don't even want to freaking face that person because I know what they're going to do.
Exactly, especially if you understand the consequences that can occur. Some of you will be watching the video going, what is she sniffing? Well, the first thing I sniffed was Energizer. It's by
Young's Living Oil.
Because I need to get my brain functioning, and I don't do coffee, and unless I dump my toast. And then there's my product called Chakra. And what it is it balances all the chakras all at once.
Chakra?
Chakra. And then you just inhale it fully, and what happens is the smell and the properties that is in the smell will trigger the brain to function in a certain way, which then the brain, it lights up the body, so the brain and body connection. So,
Brains.
Yeah. So, now I've completely, thank you. Now I forgot what the heck I was saying.
Creating an army of minions to go out in the world and face your frickin'
Yes,
frack.
and then what you do with relationships is that then they become expected, hurt, damaged. And how? Well, because there's a part of you that rejected that reality and said, I didn't want it. And there's no problem with that. That's good. You don't want to stick your hand back in the fire. But there's a piece of you that is keeping this entanglement moment, this anomaly, to just sit there. And you have to feed it. And what does it feed off in, Jen?
Brains.
Electrical storms, yes. What else does it feed off in, Jen? Your life force energy. Because you created this monster, and so what if somebody else created it?
Oh, your little Frankensteins that you got to keep alive. I remember
Yes.
that in class you taught us about. You've created this monster, and you've created this, and then it's got to stay alive somehow.
It wants to be loved, and it don't know how, because it's all it represents is different parts of that fear and negativity. And so yes, these little Frankensteins go walking around, but it has to be juiced up. It has to be fed, and usually it's your life force power.
Are you juicing?
Am I juicing? Yeah, oh yeah. You know.
Yeah, it's taking your life force.
And so then you have to keep it alive. And just every now and then it cries like a baby. What happens? It's crying and it comes into your face. Oh my gosh, why is that crap coming up again? So you can be your over-identification self and totally think that life sucks and it's meant to be a struggle and it's meant to be hell. Or you can heal those individual moments and ask. That's what we are as soul coaches, is that why did this moment happen? Why did my soul project this for me? And when you then add 2 or more people and to a group, then there's an overall common thread, a theme that's in there that identifies why we do stuff. Flu is mainly, has a lot to do with just negativity. Just, you know, rampant, and plus the power of suggestion that it has to be around at a certain time of year. And then physically we can say it's because, like, when you put a chickens and a pigs together, which is a big no-no, you can create the swine flu, you can create different kinds of flu, and the diseases and everything. Well, guess what? It's usually because when you hit a limited decision and you hit that fear barrier, you create all of this chaos that is actually very unhealthy and unnecessary, because we have forgotten what it means to resolve when you over-identify. You want to be the wound? That's fine. I don't want to be. I have learned that I don't have to be the wound.
And it's amazing on an energy level that flu season also happens to be around the holidays. And guess what happens at holiday time? You get to go back home, visit your family. All of a sudden, now I can't process that. You have to be around those people, and for some that's great, and for others it's, I mean, they've made these awesome movies about how people hate going home for the holidays.
Yeah.
And so, and flu season happens at that time. Well, because we're creating those chemical peptides for all those thoughts and all those feelings and everything, your chemistry is saying, I don't want to do it, but I'm obligated. I have to do it, and I don't want to do it. And it's like your body is attacking itself, but because you don't want to go into that situation.
Spikes. All right, let me tell you about spikes. One of the things is that, for instance, spikes are those moments when a group consciousness agrees upon certain things, and it spikes. The towers.
World Trade Center.
The World Trade Center towers. When it was the first moment of the airplane, there was a spike. And I can't remember what meter. Hey, Octarine should remember. There's a certain type of scale or meter that people take and put this on. I know Octarine knows, and I can't think of it offhand. So what happens is that there's always a spike. And that's remembered in points of time, because we put between God and us is consciousness, space, time, and energy, and there's points that is marked. Like when I was born in '67, it was about the Detroit riots. It was that riot, so there was a spike in all of that energy field. Oh, she said it. Nope, no, she didn't. Darn it! Come on, Karen. I know you know this. So there's a spike.
Thinking.
I know she knows it. She told about it before. But it marks it. There's the time of that it doesn't even have to be fearful. It can be prayerful. Like there was I can't remember what park it is, Jen, but there was a lot of crime in that area. So if somebody sat down and there was a lot of people that decided, we're going to start praying. I think it was in New York, maybe.
And also Washington, D.C. also has a really huge crime rate, and there were people that there was a time where there were all these a spike in the shootings that were occurring, and so the monks went and they went to intentionally pray toward the city.
Which made another spike because of their prayer, which helped take and resolve some issues. And it changed the frequency in that area. When you are ghost hunting, you are looking for spike peak moments. It
The
just doesn't-
energy that's trapped.
Yes, it just sits there and it defines this space. So it's so important to understand that you create those moments. If I'm fighting with my kids or a person or my husband, and let's say Jen walks in the house and doesn't know it, she could probably walk in the area and go, all right, I don't like this. I don't know what it is. You know, she probably can pick it up that's there. A lot of times when you are angry and you're cooking, you put it right into your food. There's a lot of people that are fully aware of the fact they do not like to eat at restaurants, or they don't like to
I
eat
always
at
get the
people's house.
stomach flu there. Oh, my stomach's so upset. I don't know what they cook, but
So
I
you
don't
mark
like
it.
to eat it.
Yeah, you mark it. Well,